Oh, sorry, that's the wrong address. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's not showing. But as you can see, I have many wallets in my MetaMask just to try. And there's a character called Bogart who wants to sabotage whatever is happening in this correspondence. So I will act as Bogart now and sabotage my love life. I'm going to add myself as the member first because it's a very vulnerable contract and the public can access the add member function. So even if um even if anyone in this in this event can sabotage this contract if you know the address. So I'm going to connect Bogart and add myself as a member. Okay. And just like that, I'm officially an author of the chat. I can start messaging and pretend that I'm Sam and say hi, donkey. So now Bogart can make a deal with me, and I'll probably say yes because yeah, I've been waiting for my crush to reply, and that is how you sabotage somebody's on-chain love life. If I try to see the history here, okay, you can see that Sam has responded to Donkey, said send one ETH and we go on a date. Of course, if I check the interactions in the contract, like transactions, I can see that somebody else has sent it. Yeah, I just have to refresh it. And that's how I can protect myself. But if I'm not very careful, I might mistake that Sam has sent the message to me. So these transactions, you can see who has sent it, who has which function it has interacted with, which block. Yeah. So that's how a smart contract works. And that is how to not to win your crush through smart contracts. So yeah, I hope you have learned something on how this thing works. And yeah, thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Danky, for that very interactive demo. Um, Not too sure about on-chain love story as a use case. And my head was going around like contracts and stuff, right? Like if you're on an agency, would love to have the whole conversation and transaction done on chain, and then my client would have to pay every time he would ask for revisions. That would be nice. Danky, we are gonna take a short break. You guys are hungry? Yes. Okay. We'll do a quick break first. The pantry's right over there. If you guys see my hand, we'll do a quick break. Feel free to network, meet new people. We'll be back here exactly 8 p.m. for the panel. We have a very special guest for you guys. So be sure to be back here at exactly 8 p.m. All right. Thanks, guys. All right. Welcome back, everyone. GM, parang mahina pa din ah. Kanina, mahina din ah. Parang di kayo kumain ah. Babayaran niyo yun. Hindi, joke lang. Okay. Guys, you guys ready for the next session? All right. So I see a lot of new faces from earlier. So please do allow me to reintroduce myself and welcome you guys again here at the beautiful office of Gcash. Again, for those who don't know me, my name is Christopher Starr, and I am one of the founding contributors at Web3PH. We are a community that's focused on educating and onboarding Filipinos into Web3. I'm also the founder of Attend. We are a community launchpad. We help some of the biggest names in crypto to launch in the Philippines through the power of community. And again, thank you so much for the different partners for tonight's event. It won't be possible without our co-presenters, of course, starting off with G Crypto, Arbitrum Philippines, Gcash, in collaboration with The Block, Web3PH, Bitsquela, and our media partner, BitPinas. And again, thank you for ETH63 for inviting me to be your host tonight. You have no choice. Thanks again to the ETH63 core team, Pau, JD, and of course, Danki. Okay, now before we go to our keynote speaker, I'd like to invite Danki again in front with me, and we'll just quickly share with you Pagoda, which is, we don't have the website yet, but actually we're working on it. And maybe Danki can share a little bit about it because she's the one who invited me to it.
So, Pagoda is part of the Road to DevCon grants, and it's basically a network of interconnected Asian community leaders. So we're like weaving the threads of Asia, uh, the the blockchain community in Asia, and it has 12 countries participating in the network. And our goal is to let everyone in Southeast Asia be collaborative, as well as in other countries like Japan, Korea, and many more. So I think Christopher can also elaborate on what happened in Pagoda and how we're planning to how we're planning to better the blockchain community through this network.
Thanks, Danki. So we went to Chiang Mai, Thailand for about 2 weeks in total, I think. So there's two batches. The first batch was Danki was part of it. I went on the second batch, part of the Converge group. So it's very interesting. I don't know how to exactly describe. It was a very spiritual experience, but it was a blockchain community event. So we stayed at this beautiful resort in Chiang Mai, and there were different countries represented there. So Danki and I were representing the Philippines, and then of course there were like Thailand, Malaysia, Myanmar, Cambodia, Thailand, of course, China, Korea, Japan, Taipei, Taiwan, and a lot more. So the reason why we're sharing this to you guys is that we're really excited to be able to bring that back here. And we're hoping that you guys also will be interested to become a Pagodian. And we are actually having our hack day on the 27th, right? To like figure out the governance, identity, building the website. So if you're interested to become part of it, you can approach Danki or myself to learn more about it. Obviously, we don't have much time to like deep dive into what Pagoda is all about. But think of it as a community of different Asian leaders. And we're all, like Danke and myself, we all do like different events, educational events from conferences, workshops. And we're creating this network because we would love to, what we all expect is that DevCon is going to put a spotlight to Asia. It's the first time that this big Ethereum event is happening in this part of the world. And basically, Pagoda wants to capture the value and be able to kind of create the story for us Asians and talk about our journey, our culture, and how unique we are. And at the same time, be able to capture the value for us in the ecosystem and build a stronger, more sustainable Asian community. So we all welcome you to be part of it. If you are interested, we're doing a hack day rather, on the 27th. It's just going to be over Zoom. So if you're interested to learn more about Pagoda, please do approach me and Danki. That's pretty much it for Pagoda. Now we are just quickly whip out my script. Now we are to the Okay, yes, perfect. We're now transitioning to the main part of the event, and I'm very excited to introduce our keynote speaker for this evening. He is part of the Ethereum Foundation and leads DevCon and DevConnect, two of the most prominent events in the crypto ecosystem for developers and researchers. He has a degree in information systems from Carnegie Mellon University, where he started programming with Bitcoin in 2013, and in the years since, he has slowly transitioned from coding to advocacy for Ethereum and open global digital systems. Let's all give a warm welcome to Skylar.
Awesome. Nice. Donkey, I can do it. Don't worry. Don't worry. But wait, we should make it, let's make it slideshow instead of this. Right? Let's see if we do that. Then we go slideshow. That's, I think, better. Okay, cool. We can move some of these out of the way too. So you can see the full, this image was created by one of our graphic designers on our team. His name's Tomo. He's been traveling around with me, but he got too tired, so couldn't make it all the way over here. So it's a cool image. Actually, it's supposed to represent all of the countries in Southeast Asia. So you can see that there's different aspects of Southeast Asia. I actually should ask him which one represents Philippines. Maybe it's this volcano back here. Could be. All right, I think so. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And so yeah, my name is Skylar. Great to be here. Yeah, first of all, thanks, I guess, to Donkey, to the entire ETH63 team, to everyone who was already mentioned who helped support this event to happen along the road to DevCon. So we'll talk a little bit more about DevCon at the end. But to start, I want to talk a little bit about Ethereum, like give a high level introduction to Ethereum, what it really is, what can you do with it, why is it important, why is it different than other projects that we have in the space, and then how can you get involved. So maybe I'll start off with like a first intro of like what are blockchains. Maybe before that, just to give you some background on myself. So yeah, I work with the Ethereum Foundation. I work specifically leading the DevCon team. I've been with the Ethereum Foundation for like 5 years officially. I got started with Ethereum by going to DevCon and volunteering. I just showed up with my camera as a volunteer. And I was actually like a developer trying to learn more about Ethereum. And since then, which was in 2017, like I've like fully dived deep into the space and think there's a lot of potential here. So to start, what are blockchains? Like I think we all have our own ideas about what are blockchains, right? Like we can all describe them in some different way. It's Web3, right? Read, write, own, or maybe it's the next version of the internet. I like this definition that I've heard recently, which I actually was reading this book. It's called Read, Write, Own, written by Chris Dixon. It's a pretty interesting book, actually. And it's, I think, a really good book to give to someone who is like entering the space or curious about the space. But for me, it was interesting even just to think about a different version of what are blockchains. And like basically, he argues that blockchains are a new type of computer, right? They're not a computer in the traditional sense, in that it's like a physical computer. They're more of like they're more of a computer in the sense of it's being a network that acts as a computer. You can write programs. You can write these programs. You can deploy them on Ethereum. These programs are executed according to rules, just like a normal computer, right? And so some of these blockchains are computers with one specific use case. So in the case of Bitcoin, right, that's a blockchain, it's a computer with one specific use case. Its use case is to be a currency or a store of value or digital gold. But it is like one specific use case. It has Bitcoin, you can transfer it, buy it, hold it, sell it, send it, but there's not much more you can do on top of it. Other types of blockchains, other blockchains are computers with many use cases, right? So Ethereum falls into this category. where it's not just a cryptocurrency. It's a computer where you can build many use cases on top of it. One of these use cases is a cryptocurrency, but you can also build many other things on top of this type of computer called Ethereum. And these are new types of computers because of three properties that they have, right? They have three unique properties. The first is these types of computers aim to be open and globally accessible. Open and globally accessible. The second type of property is they aim to be verifiable. And the third is they aim to have this property of hardness. And so diving a little deeper into each one of these, open global access, what does this mean? Basically means that anyone with an internet access around the world can access this computer, and can access the programs that are running on top of this computer, whatever those programs may be. If that's a currency, if that's a identity system, if it's a voting system, anyone around the world can access this computer as long as they have an internet access. And in order to achieve this, it has to be neutral and censorship resistant, right? So this means like it's not developed for one specific country. It's not developed for one specific region. Because the moment you develop for one specific region, you start to introduce biases and you start to exclude some other part of the world. So this type of computer is neutral. It's censorship resistant. There's no stopping certain groups of people from using this computer. And this is unique compared to other types of computers or computer systems or network systems that we have today because it's unbiased, it's unopinionated, right? We have Twitter, we have Facebook, we have government systems today. All of these are biased, all of these are opinionated, and they're not equally open to anyone around the world. They all have inherent biases. And so the last part of this property, this open global access, is that it's permissionless. So anyone should be able to use this computer. Anyone should be able to verify it. Anyone should be able to contribute back to it. And here we also have this concept of permissionless innovation, where anyone can innovate on top of it. And so this is one of the three values that make these types of computers so different and so unique. The second value is verifiability. So this basically states that like anyone around the world should also be able to download and verify the current state. Basically, anyone should be able to verify that what this computer is doing is correct according to rules that you are aware of, that you agree with, that the computer is telling you the truth, basically. And so it's important that this computer be verifiable by anyone. And this is a value that some computers, some blockchains, some blockchains like Ethereum take very seriously, right? Anyone should be able to verify the state of the chain, no matter where you are around the world, no matter what your internet speed. As long as you have internet access and connection to the internet, you should be able to verify the state of this blockchain. This also includes other things like source code being open, like changes being open, embracing a philosophy of open sourced software, which is true in Ethereum, right? Ethereum embraces open source software, free and open source software mentalities. All of the Ethereum code is open source. All of the clients are open source. The protocol specifications are all open. All of the changes are made in the public. And realistically, anyone can get involved and contribute to this protocol because it is open like that. But it also contributes back to the verifiability, that anyone around the world can verify that it's correct. And the third property is hardness. So that's this belief that this neutrality, this openness, this censorship resistance, this ability to verify the chain, all of this does not only exist today, but will continue on into the future, far into the future. And this basically is basically making strong commitments about the future. So if you are to develop an application that is built on top of one of these new types of computers, you can be pretty confident, very, very confident, that in the future, it will work just as it works today. This doesn't exist with a lot of existing computers we have today. You build something on AWS, if certain governments don't like that, it will be shut down. You connect to Twitter's API, try to build something extending Twitter's network, a cool new functionality. If Twitter decides that you're competing with them, they shut off your API access. Same with Facebook, same with many other existing types of computers that we have today. And so this hardness is like ultimately what we tried to achieve with this new type of computers. Basically giving trust to the developers, to the users, that this will continue to work as it works today in an open, neutral, censorship resistant, verifiable way. So all of these things enable new all of these properties are what makes this a new type of computer, and this new type of computer enables things that were not possible on previous types of computers. So what are some of those things? Wait, I thought I had a Oh yeah, I had a joke. Meme coins. Meme coins are those things, right? Of course, we can build meme coins on this. Why not? What else? What else do we want to do here? No, that's kind of a joke. So meme coins are obviously kind of hot right now. You probably heard about them. You can make a lot of money, or you can more realistically lose a lot of money. There's much more interesting things that you can build on top of these systems, and this is what I am personally most passionate about. Right? We have all of these different things that we will go through very quickly right now. Right? So like the first one is currency. Yes, you can build financially related things on top of these computers, right? You can build like Bitcoin has Bitcoin, Ethereum has Ether, and you can build on top of Ethereum also DeFi, like decentralized finance. And so yes, like these new types of computers enable like new types of financial applications to be built that were not possible on previous types of computers. But there's more than just currency. You can also build things like property rights, like a digital property rights system or a property rights system that is untamperable, meaning like a government can't censor your property rights, can't change who owns what. A company can't steal your domain name back if they don't like that you have it. And these property rights are essentially what NFTs are, right? NFTs are essentially digital property rights built on top of this new type of computer where they live on like uncensorable and like they're basically just digital property rights. Real world assets, probably something similar to this, where you can track their property rights on this sort of system. There's also identity systems, which I think are really cool, right? Like being able to build permissionless reputation where you own your identity and you don't need to rely on a government to tell everyone that you are a unique person. You can try to build this yourself. And this is something that these new types of computers can enable. Voting systems, new voting systems where they're verifiable, they're trustworthy, and they're even private using zero knowledge proofs, which is a new form of cryptography, and something like Macy, which is this minimal anti-collusion infrastructure. And using all of this, you can start to build a really cool voting system that is anyone can verify, anyone can see what the results are, and it's private and it's anti-collusion. And this, again, only being possible on these new computers, new social networks, things like Farcaster. Who here has Farcaster? Cool, a couple people. Nice. So Farcaster is a new type of social network. It's become relatively popular in these last couple of months, and yes, it embraces a lot of these things because of this new type of computer. Lastly, I wanted to mention autonomous worlds. So who's played Axie Infinity or any sort of play to earn games before? Cool. Okay, I think a lot of people. From what I hear, this is my first time in the Philippines actually, and I've heard a lot about the Philippines. I've heard a lot about it in respect to Axie Infinity, in respect to play to earn, and I'm also curious who here like lost money playing Axie Infinity. Anyone want to admit that? Okay, some people. I was talking to some people earlier as well that lost money. Made money playing Axie Infinity? Made money sustainably? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Others? Okay. Nice. So I'm not that optimistic on play to earn. I don't think it's very sustainable in a lot of the ways that exist today. I'm much more optimistic on on-chain gaming in the form of autonomous worlds. So like this idea that you can build a game on top of Ethereum, right? And this Ethereum is this new type of computer that lives on forever, right? And so you can build these games that are basically simulations, right? They live on forever. Nobody controls them. And anybody can sort of interact with them, extend with them, play on top of them. They're not by default financially focused. They're by default for fun and for new experiences. And so there's some cool projects that I wanted to highlight for this type of stuff. So like autonomous worlds, this is actually like a group of people that are working on this from this research group called 0x Park. It's called Autonomous Worlds Network. So they post a lot of really interesting tweets around gaming on Ethereum, on-chain gaming that is not play to earn, but that I think has a lot of potential in the future to yeah, to take off, to be really interesting, and maybe yeah. And then another one, so Lattice. This is a framework actually built by an adjacent team that is like to make it more easy to build autonomous worlds, right? So it's kind of like if you're a web developer, you have React to build easy websites. This is like the React to build easy autonomous worlds, easy on-chain games on top of Ethereum, on top of Optimism, on top of L2s. And yeah, and so these are some of the things that this new type of computer enable, right? You have meme coins, you have currency, but you have so much more that we're able to build. And we're still early in this mission, right? Right now, what do we have in reality? We have meme coins, we have currency, but many other the things you see on this list don't yet exist in like large scale. And I think it's because and it's because I believe because we're early, right? Like I still think we are in like the 1995 of internet, like early days, people still it's still complicated, it's still slow, it's still expensive, but it's also the time to get involved. Like these are the early days of the internet. This is the best time to get involved. Uh, and what are we doing to make it more possible to build these types of applications that we saw earlier? We are improving the user experience. So the UX right now needs to be simpler. Many people lose their seed phrases all the time. It's complicated. My grandmother's never going to learn to use this. And so we're doing this with concepts called account abstraction, with something called 4337, a newer one called 3071. Basically, these are all upgrades that are coming to Ethereum to make all of this simpler so that your grandmother, yes, can use Ethereum. Also, gas fees need to be cheaper. And for this, we have layer twos. We have layer twos, this concept of rollups that are like Optimism, Arbitrum, ZK Sync, Starknet, many of which you've heard before. And these bring cheaper transaction fees, so much so that they're now less than 1 penny on many of these rollups. And these rollups can inherit the same security as Ethereum, right? So it's not like you're using another chain. It's not like you're using another side chain. You're using something that's still a part of the Ethereum ecosystem. It's inheriting the security of Ethereum, and it has faster transactions, cheaper transactions than what you have on Ethereum. And there's some Arbitrum folks representing Arbitrum around here. You can talk to them about Arbitrum, I'm sure. But these are what we're doing to. This is what we're doing to improve Ethereum. And I also want to touch a little bit on what makes Ethereum different. Because meanwhile, we are improving Ethereum. We're trying to make it better. We're trying to make it faster and better UX. But there's also a lot of other projects that exist out there, many of which directly state that they are better than Ethereum in some sense, right? Like we've all heard this. There's many other projects, and they all say they're better than Ethereum. So what is it that makes Ethereum different? And what is it that makes Ethereum better than these other projects? I would say one of the first things of three that I'll cover is that the values of Ethereum are unique, right? Like we within the Ethereum ecosystem, which is broad, have certain values that we try to embrace in the development of our protocol. And these values are, this is a screenshot actually taken from an article written relatively recently by Vitalik called Make Ethereum Cypherpunk Again. And these values are what we try to embrace in Ethereum. Some of these that are really important, I would say, are open global participation, decentralization, censorship resistance, auditability, credible neutrality, and these other ones as well, like being cooperative and building tools. But the first ones I'd say are the most important parts of Ethereum that we have deeply ingrained into the way that we make decisions around the protocol. And this is why Ethereum does not have 1,000 transactions per second. This is why Ethereum does not cost, like Ethereum mainnet does not cost cents to send a transaction. It's because of these values. It's because we don't want to sacrifice on these values, and other chains that do advertise themselves as having super cheap transactions, fast transactions, have somehow compromised on these values to get there. And Ethereum has chosen to take the harder route to scale, which is through L2s, right? So Ethereum has this roll-up centric roadmap. We have been switching towards scaling through layer twos for the past couple of years now. And this is the roadmap of Ethereum, and I think it's very hard to beat. So this is reason number two for why I think Ethereum is different, is that the Ethereum roadmap is very hard to beat. Um, we have this roll-up centric roadmap, and this roll-up centric roadmap means that Ethereum is no longer just Ethereum. Whenever anything's comparing it with Ethereum, it needs to think of Ethereum plus all rollups. All of the rollups, Optimism, Arbitrum, Starknet, zk Sync, so many of these are a part of Ethereum. They are scaling Ethereum, they are secured by Ethereum. And so now, when you hear of competing projects comparing themselves with Ethereum, they need to realize that they're not just comparing, they're not just competing with Ethereum. They're competing with Ethereum and all of the rollups and L2s that are built on top of Ethereum. And so it's really not just like one project versus Ethereum. It's one project versus Ethereum plus Starknet plus zk Sync plus Optimism plus Arbitrum plus Tyco plus Scroll plus Base plus Celo plus many, many more L2s that are being built on top of Ethereum. And so that's a really like that's a hard competitor, right? I think that's a very hard competitor for other projects to take on. And on top of that, all of these L2s are sustainable, right? They all have revenue mechanisms. These L2s, right? They can accept and they can take sequencer fees, so they become like they have a way to make money. Meanwhile, L1s are more public goods, right? L1s are public goods. They have foundations. They have a set number of funds, and they're only usually depleting them, right? So L2s can make money, and this money they make, they can put towards protocol development, towards innovating their L2, towards marketing their L2, towards building eco dev teams, developing their ecosystems. And that's really hard to compete with as an L1. And these L2s can have cheap fees, good UX like alternative L1s without sacrificing security like many of these alternative L1s do. And so like this is reason number two for why I think Ethereum is unique and is hard to compete with, honestly. And so reason number three is that, oh, I had some more slides here. So we already looked at this one, but yeah, L2s are cheap. So the third reason is that the community of Ethereum is second to none. I would say like what makes the community of Ethereum? I'd say it first starts off with the values, right? So we already talked about the values of Ethereum, and that attracts certain people who recognize those values as important for society, as important for improving the world. And those people attract other people like them. And this is how the Ethereum community has grown over time to the point where we now have like hundreds of events that are happening around the world, all of which organized by independent communities who are dedicated and passionate about Ethereum. And so I think this is just one example of the strong community that Ethereum has. And most of these are just doing it out of volunteer time because they care about Ethereum, because they realize the positive impact it can have on the world, and they want to see that, they want to help make that impact realized. And so yeah, maybe soon we'll have an ETH Philippines in here somewhere. That would be cool. But yeah, for now we don't have. Let's see here. What's next? Okay, yeah. For now we don't have ETH Philippines, but we have something else that's coming super close by. We have DevCon, right? And so now I will switch into talking a little bit about DevCon. For those who don't know, DevCon is the Ethereum Foundation's premier conference. The first DevCon happened before Ethereum was even launched. It was the first Ethereum conference. It took place in Berlin in 2014. And ever since then, it has grown to include more and more of the Ethereum ecosystem, which has also grown to the point where it has gone from Berlin to London to Shanghai to Cancun to Prague in Czech Republic to Japan to where else? Bogota, and then it's now coming to Southeast Asia, coming to Thailand. And so it's coming to pretty close to here, relatively close to here. And this is why I'm here. This is why we're doing this event in some degree, is because we'd like to see the community in Southeast Asia activate, I guess, like become more aware of Ethereum, become more aware of DevCon, and take advantage of the opportunity. We see huge potential in Southeast Asia. So we see a lot of potential here. If you look at any index, right, like the crypto adoption index, like Southeast Asia ranks towards the top, right? Like there are 4 or 5 of the countries out of the top 10 are from Southeast Asia. But not just like adoption, right? Like adoption is one metric. You also have a lot of developers. You have a lot of people who are actually able to contribute and build on top of Ethereum. And you have like ways in which you can really use Ethereum today, right? Like the US, Canada, European countries have so much regulation, have so much like baggage, like things that they already have, bureaucracy, I would say. Whereas like here, you have a lot more opportunity to move quicker, and in some cases, leapfrog these other more reference developed countries. So we're excited to bring DevCon to Southeast Asia. And to share a little bit more about DevCon, I guess I have some photos. So this is from our last edition in Bogota. Just to give you some visualization of what it was. This was we had 6,500 people in Bogota. This year we're expecting 10,000. It's been 2 years since the last DevCon, so we should expect like the entire Ethereum community from around the world coming to Thailand, coming to Bangkok. Many of which will probably try to explore Southeast Asia before and after. So maybe you'll have some come by Philippines. And yeah, so usually we have some keynote speakers that are just known around the world. We have hackers, developers, of course, but we also have places that have fun. Let's see. These are just random photos. One other thing I wanted to mention, we use a music stage, is that it's not just for developers. So yes, it's called DevCon. Yes, it started as like the developers conference, but Ethereum is much more than just a something for developers, right? Like Ethereum is this new type of computer. It's the next version of the internet, and there can be so many creators or builders on top of this, people who use it. And so it's really for a broad range of people, both technical and non-technical. Anyone who's interested in Ethereum and making a positive impact in the world in the future using this is welcome and encouraged to come to DevCon. Let's see what else. So different things. We have like a music stage usually. We have like this was the Latam community. We'd like the Philippine or we'd like the Southeast Asia community to be represented also a lot in DevCon this year. Okay, so I will end with how to get involved in Ethereum. I would say, right, like you can use it, you can go experiment with it. I'd encourage that. You can build on top of it. If you're a developer, check out building on top of it. Check out layer twos, rollups, try to build on top of those. And you can also help contribute back to it eventually once you build up the skills. And how to actually do this, I'd say, okay, so some things you should follow ETH63 on Twitter. So it's at ETH63PH. Yeah, PH is important. Otherwise, you follow some random guy. And you could also host your own Ethereum educational meetups in Philippines. That should be Philippines. I just did this line in Cambodia. Or in Cambodia if you want, but you probably want to host it in Philippines. So I talked to some students here and some student groups. I talked to some others who are organizing like education. We have right now this program called Road to DevCon Grants program. So this event qualified for the Road to DevCon Grants program. Basically, until DevCon, we're giving out up to $1,000 per meetup or educational event, in person, online, to spread awareness about Ethereum, about DevCon in your communities here. So university groups, if you want to do this, I'd scan that QR code or talk to me afterwards. And we should encourage this. We should have more education here. You can also, if you're a developer, I'd encourage you to check out this website called speedrunethereum.com. This website will get you up to speed really quickly on Ethereum and developing applications, and is fun. And lastly, I'd say you should attend DevCon. So DevCon is coming very close to you. Only a couple hour flights. And typically tickets cost like $600 for DevCon, which is crazy and a lot, right? But we'll have pretty big discounts for anyone from Southeast Asia, including people from Philippines. So we're looking at tickets costing like $49 for anyone from Southeast Asia. So we want to make it a lot more accessible to people here. We know you'd have to fly to get there, but I would say like this is a unique opportunity for everyone here. If you're vaguely interested in DevCon, I attended my first one not knowing anything about Ethereum and like decided after that that this was the future and I was going to contribute to it. And I'd say not to try not to pass up on this opportunity and hopefully see you guys at DevCon. All right, that's all I have.
All right. Thank you so much, Skylar, for walking us through your personal journey and also walking us all through to the journey of hopefully, if you're not in Ethereum yet or not building yet Ethereum, this will excite you. I'm personally very excited about DevCon. Love attending events. As I mentioned earlier, Pagoda is actually planning, or there was a suggestion from one of the members from South Korea. That's correct. I was about to say North. South Korea. And one of the suggestions was actually coming up with a fund that people will contribute to so that we can then later on maybe send some of the students to DevCon because obviously not everyone can afford to go there. But yeah, so really exciting. Now, for the next speaker, we have someone from Arbitrum Philippines. He's the software engineer at Ripple, one of the top global blockchain companies. He's also the lead mentor for Arbitrum blockchain bootcamps for students and teachers in different universities across the country, and the CTO of The Block, an education technology company that provides blockchain education, trainings, and certifications throughout the Philippines. Please all welcome Mr. Mark Neri.
GM. Sige, let me just set up my presentation. So, kamusta kayo? So, I am yet another Mark. Ang daming Mark sa space eh. So, I'm Mark Yu, Neri. I'm one of the mentors sa The Block. So, what we do in The Block is we provide trainings and certifications specializing in blockchain. Okay, so I'll tell more about what we do for Arbitrum in my presentation. So, who's familiar with Arbitrum? Yay. Oh, nice. We'll check it out. So again, guys, GM. Again, I'm yet another Mark. Mag-iisip na ako ng code name siguro next time. Yeah. So my presentation is about what we do in the block for Arbitrum. And basically, at least give you some ideas what Arbitrum is about. Kasi di ba, parang isa lang yung nagtaas ng kamay kanina. So at least by the end of my short presentation, we'll learn more about what is Arbitrum and what's unique about it. So we started some of our activities by end of 2023. So we did meetups and actually technical workshops already, both IRL and online. But starting this year, January, so we're able to start our Arbitrum Developers Bootcamp. So that's a 2-week program where we teach Arbitrum, Solidity, and some of the other unique features in Arbitrum. So this is actually in University of Batangas, and this is attended by almost 100 students. Okay, by February, we're able to conduct it in my alma mater, Adams University, which is attended also by almost 100 students as well. Okay, so basically this 2-week program is not actually about just teaching the basics of Solidity and integrating decentralized apps, but we're more focused on validating their skills. So we have a certification requirement wherein these participants can submit our requirements, and at the end of the program, if they're able to pass it, they will earn an NFT certificate. So proving that they're able to build something out of that 2-week program. And also, as a part of UP Diliman's Department of Computer Science. So we're able to add our Arbitrum program in their elective course about blockchain fundamentals. So this is still ongoing, and um, in a month, we're going to have a hackathon to validate their skills. Okay, so this is actually what our NFT certificate looks like. So this is live in Arbitrum 1 and is implemented using the hybrid ERC 404 specs. So there's actually just 37 holders of this, and hopefully our target is to at least certify at least 100 new Arbitrum developers to add more applications to the ecosystem. Okay, so that's what we do, and looking forward to do more of that boot camps and technical workshops. Now, for those of you that doesn't know about Arbitrum yet, so Arbitrum is a layer 2, so that's part of the Ethereum ecosystem still. The fastest, according to Sir. All right, so just a cloud of words. So it's a layer 2, as I was saying. It uses optimistic rollup. Sorry, I'm going to be a bit technical about it, but bear with me. So optimistic rollup as opposed to ZK rollups. So it is EVM compatible, so meaning all of your code in Solidity basically will just run as is. And as Sir was saying, it's faster and cheaper, and it's governed by Arbitrum DAO. So anything that they want to change on the blockchain is governed by proposals. So with ARB as their governance token. So that's the purpose of the ARB token. Okay, so in terms of total value lock, it sits on top 5. So as I last checked this morning, so it's sitting on 2.71 billion USD. So yeah, so Ethereum is still massive, as you can see.
So it's the biggest L2 on that chart.
Looks like
If
it.
you exclude the L1s, right?
Yes. Okay. Thanks for the support, sir. And as I was saying, one of the fastest, as I was saying. So please don't quote me on the one on the right side. So that's a theoretical, I think. So 40,000 TPS. So it's fast. All right. So one of the features, of course, is the blockchain. So currently there's 2 live mainnet for Arbitrum. So there's Arbitrum 1 and Arbitrum Nova. So the default one is Arbitrum 1. So that's basically targeted against DeFi protocols and NFTs. And it's the one that's using the rollup technology. Okay. But for some of you who might be interested with social apps and gaming where security is not really much of a importance, you might want to look at Arbitrum Nova. Okay. So the main difference is the data from these L2s. So for Arbitrum 1 is settled in Ethereum, meaning that the proof of um, the layer 2 is posted in Ethereum, but for Nova, it's not. So it has a different data availability. Oh, oops. All right, so like any other L2s, if you want to make use of this Arbitrum 1 or Arbitrum Nova, you have to bridge your asset first from Ethereum to Arbitrum. So they provide that as well. And if you're interested to check on what applications already exist in Arbitrum, please check on portal.arbitrum.io. So most likely your favorite Ethereum application is there, because since it's a layer 2, it's EVM compatible. For as long as Arbitrum decided to support that app, then it's there. All right, so aside from that, aside from, of course, the blockchain, which is the main product of Arbitrum, we have what we call Arbitrum Orbit Chain. So if you're interested to create your own custom blockchain, which is making use of the same tech stack of Arbitrum, look at Orbit Chain. Okay, so I think it's possible to build your own L2 as well, because it's more of targeted to L3, but according to this diagram, it's possible.
Build your own L2 that supports L3s, right?
Yes,
Those can be customized with any rules you want.
correct.
So you can make it for specific use cases.
Yes. And to add to that, so I think one local project that I know of, So from our friends from Only. So they're actually making use of the Orbit chain to create own chain. So shout out to our friends at Bicol. Ayan. So aside from that, so that's the second product. The third product that they have is Stylus. Okay. So they want to tap on Rust developers. So now, aside from developing smart contracts using Solidity, which almost every Web3 developer is familiar of, you can now build smart contracts using WebAssembly based language. So anything that can compile to WebAssembly like Rust, C, C++, you can now deploy to this new um, blockchain. Okay, so this is still in beta and undergoing tests. So that's Arbitrum Stylus. Okay, so basically that's the end of my presentation. Now for the developers here, we're going to have a webinar. So just to give you an intro on what's going on in Arbitrum and maybe teach you how to start development in Arbitrum. So this is for free. Please join if you're interested. And of course, for everyone that's here, we have a giveaway. So we have an exclusive NFT collection called Blockbox. This is deployed in Arbitrum 1. And feel free to grab one if you like. So again, thank you guys and see you in our future events. I'm yet another Mark.
All right. Thank you so much, Sir Mark. Hopefully, the presentation inspires you to also build on L2s. And as mentioned earlier, hopefully you are excited to attend DevCon, and there will be more events like this. And I definitely agree that there should be like some sort of ETH Philippines, like our own Ethereum conference, right? You guys agree? And I actually have a suggestion to Danke in terms of the name for our ETH Philippines conference. Ang sabihin. We should probably call it ETH Bulaga. And then someone said maybe we can do It's Showtime now. So we'll choose one of those names. But anyway, before we get into that event, we're now on the juicy part of this event because we'll have a panel discussion. So I'd like to invite again Danki as our moderator. Oh, sorry about that. Let me allow you to scan the QR code first. Does it work? All good, guys? Okay, so we'll now have a panel discussion. We have three very distinguished guests, and you guys already met Danki and Skylar. So let me introduce the two other guests. We have QZ. He leads the Ethereum Singapore and shares his experience acting as an advisor in the growing ETH communities across Southeast Asia. He was also here during the first event. I think that was a month ago. And he handles projects at Angel Hack and supports various public goods through CLR Fund. And we also have Nico Adulio as the co-founder and CTO of Breeder DAO, a blockchain project focuses on mass manufacturing high-quality digital assets for games and virtual worlds. Nico is Breeder DAO's in-house smart contract expert, having deployed full-stack decentralized applications and smart contracts across several chains such as BSC, EOS, and Ethereum. He was included in the Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia 2022 list. And let's all welcome, well, Skylar's already here, and I'll give it up to you, Danky.
Okay, so I'm going to first give the question for the three of you, and then you can start. Okay. The first question is, what role do you see the local Ethereum communities are playing in shaping the future of blockchain development and adoption? And how can they contribute to the success of global events like DevCon?
I'm based out of here, so maybe I can take this one for local communities. How I see like maybe a neophyte to Ethereum or smart contract development. I feel like there's two types of people. You got your um, person or dev like OG type variant that really builds like EIP ready stuff, contributes to standards, maybe builds out groundbreaking tech like, well, at its time, Sushi Swap or Blur or Blast. And this is the normal path for an Ethereum dev. But I think as we gain more adoption, we're going to see a lot more of your standard in-house company developer, similar to front-end developers, similar to back-end developers, and they won't be expected to build out like 721 from scratch. You know, that's the NFT standard. They'll just be expected to know how to execute like a certain project. Like if the company was going to venture into NFTs, what's the best practice to do that? So I feel like local communities more and more will be exploring this. And when you move into like conferences, you'll start having people talk about like maybe for their company, like how I converted Airbnb program, rewards program to be blockchain based. You know, more grassroots adoption, which is really important. You know, um, we love Skylar and QZ with the standards. You know, the technical prowess that Ethereum has. You know, and all these L2s. But adoption is the next important phase. You know, that day-to-day application for Web2 companies looking to make that jump into Web3.
Okay. Hi everyone, glad to be back. I think specifically on the regional kind of like communities, right? One thing that I noticed, at least in Southeast Asia, is that like a lot of us come from very young countries, right? And I think for us, we have our own way of doing things, and also young in the sense that we have a fairly young population, which is unique because I've noticed that I think for folks these days, especially for people who are new to using non-custodial solutions, for example, to be able to manage your own finances. And with the internet at our hands, a lot of us realize that you don't have to just wait for some sort of like relationship manager or fund advisor to give you advice on what to do with your funds, because you can be out there just trying things and doing things. And I think that's something that's really unique that I think Southeast Asia will show the world, that I think Ethereum adoption can really start here, because for us, tech adoption is like a given. It's been driven by our governments for like almost a decade already, but they have always been fairly unsatisfactory. So we're very used to horrible UX. And like Ethereum right now, as we all can very candidly say, has a long way to go for that. But we are at the cusp of something new with like a core abstraction and with layer 2, something that has made Ethereum unusable for this entire region for a long time. And that's also why like I think a lot of like alternative L1s have been gaining a lot of traction in Southeast Asia. I mean, for me, since 2017, 2018, when Ethereum first came about, right, the promise of Ethereum was so powerful, and it very quickly became unusable for most of us here. Like even for myself, like when I first used Aave, and the gas was like 150 USD. And then I just click reject transaction. Sorry, I can't afford this. And I cannot imagine how expensive it was for everyone else, right? Like if you're, especially things like games, like for us, we're so used to playing, like phone games. The potential to finally unlock all of that energy in Southeast Asia and to show people what Ethereum can bring and what we can bring to Ethereum, I think that's something that we will finally get to see, hopefully at DEF CON at the start, and to kickstart a spark for a lot more in the years to come. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think. I mean, I think by DevCon, if not at DevCon, right, you'll see. I think a lot more adoption of L2s, right? People will start using L2s because they're much cheaper transactions, right? So like, I think that the problem, like, it is true for a long time, Southeast Asia, it's been inaccessible by people here, and so finally we're at a stage where it is accessible with L2s, with rollups. So what do communities do? Like, what's the importance of communities? I guess was the question. I think, like, I would say that Ethereum is very dependent on the social layer, right? Like, I mean, have you ever seen, like, there's this meme of these astronauts? They're out there and they're looking at like the Earth, and then the first astronaut says like, she's like, wow, it's like always been, it's like it's all dependent on the social layer. And the second astronaut has the gun, and he's like, it has, and it is, and it always has been. And I think it's true with like Ethereum, Bitcoin, all of these projects. At the end of the day, like they're social projects. Like we need like we need to have society bought in on what we're doing here, and interested in the change we're trying to make. And I think this is like a human thing. And so the communities that we have, and like what's a very human thing also, is just like in person communities, in person relationships, in person events, meetups like this where we talk about why we're working on what we're working on. I think this is really important. And yeah, so like the community is what I think makes Ethereum so strong. Just having these community leaders that exist around the world that are doing these meetups, these events, just because they're passionate about what Ethereum can do. That's, I think, like one of the strongest aspects of Ethereum.
So yeah, it's about the social layer. Yeah, Ethereum is is also dependent on the people who are behind it. That's why, yeah, the communities play a huge role in events like DevCon. So the next question is about trends. What key trends or shifts do you anticipate in how Ethereum and crypto in general is being used, and what emerging areas of research or innovation do you think should Filipinos explore to stay at the forefront of blockchain development, and why?
Yeah, since I have the mic, I think I'll just start. I think something very different in this region is that, and this seems to be quite common among Southeast Asia, not just Philippines, but like there are a lot of big corporates that exist that kind of like run a lot of the key infrastructure and services in our societies. Singapore is one. Like for us, the government's really big, right? Temasik's very big. There are a few big banks, a few big family-run businesses, for example. And I notice this is very similar across all of Southeast Asia. Um, and so it's kind of interesting because Ethereum being a permissionless layer, you don't really need the permission of all these like companies to kind of get started. But in actual fact, you do, right? Because you do need to figure out how we can work together. It's kind of in the philosophy of Ethereum as an infinite garden. And I think first thing is that maybe if we can kind of relook this kind of relationship, more of like coexistence or how we can help or to work together or to enhance certain parts of like the services or what we can do as a society. I think that's something that would be quite interesting. Um, I suppose when it comes to trends, I think that's one trend, right? Which is we are starting to see a lot of companies seriously look at blockchain and Ethereum. Because in the earlier days, actually a lot of them already started looking at distributed ledger technologies. You've probably heard of that term. It's been a while. There used to be a lot of reports by like Deloitte, McKinsey, Accenture to try and convince companies to build their own blockchain. Right? I think you remember those days where like internally, if you're a very large company, you have a lot of like cumbersome internal processes and a blockchain might help. Right? Generally, it hasn't because that's not what blockchains are used for. And now companies have gone through that first phase of learning. And now we're at a phase where they are realizing that actually it is the open permissionless nature and almost neutrality of chains like Ethereum that they can actually help grow their business even. And that's something that they are starting to realize, like very seriously start to realize that, it's not about trying to own the infrastructure anymore. It doesn't work. And in fact, it's actually detrimental. It slows them down. And in fact, open innovation is actually so much more powerful. So that's one very, very key trend. I think gaming is another one. I don't really play any on-chain games, so I'm kind of shooting the dark here. But from what I've seen so far, gaming is an interesting layer when it comes to technology adoption. And games are very key to any human society. Like the first kind of like human paraphernalia that we discovered are Sumerian dice, right? Two dice that people used to play games of chance, for example. And when it comes to like Ethereum or Web3 technologies, gaming is the perfect kind of like Trojan horse, I guess, to put everything together, right? You have to have better UX, you need privacy, you need some kind of verifiable randomness, you need scalability. you need microtransactions, all these things. Generally, if a game can tie them all together, then you can actually build a lot of core technologies that are no longer proprietary to just like Warcraft, right? Like actually, a lot of the internet started out from people that wanted to play Warcraft, and that's how the internet grew and scaled. And people wanted to play Zynga on Facebook, you know, those kinds of games like what was it again? The and Farmville game, right? And like Mouse Hunt or something. That was what got Facebook to scale because people had to kind of like play in a synchronous kind of manner. And hopefully it is these pressures, right? Consumers that want better UX, better quality through your game, right? Because gaming is a very social experience, as Skylar mentioned, right? Like when I play and I go on a raid in a dungeon, I'm with my friends. And I don't want to be having a 200 millisecond ping or something and I lose a game. It's a horrible experience. And so hopefully that can push all of us, right, to build better technologies. And because it is open, then everybody can benefit. I think that's one trend that we will start to see. And people will move away from just thinking that microtransactions are the only way that Ethereum or crypto in general can be involved in games. And instead to look at things like autonomous worlds. The last time I was here, I actually talked about that too, which is the ability to create game engines that are on chain that anybody can start using. You no longer have to just rely on Minecraft, right? Which got acquired by Xbox, Microsoft, and now it's just not done anything for the last 7 or 8 years, right? Like that's pretty tiring. And I think hopefully now we can finally see something new. Yes.
Nice. What was the question again? Trends. I don't know. I feel like you listed all the cool ones. Good luck. I mentioned some other. I mean, so I mentioned a list earlier on one of my slides, but like I think ones that weren't mentioned, like voting, I think is quite interesting. If we were to get some sort of like I think it should start small, any sort of voting application or implementation. But I think there is a lot of potential there for doing things like voting. I think a lot of public like government infrastructure could be run using blockchains for more verifiability, more transparency. Like these could that could be voting for one, but like also if there's ever anything that's raffled off or auctioned off, like I think in China or in Bogota, for instance, in Colombia, they like auction off license plates. Like you're right to have a license plate because there's so many cars. So like you like they both auction it off and they raffle it off. And there's a lot of criticisms of it being like it being opaque and biased, and them just giving license plates to the ability to have a car to their friends. So I think there's ways you can do this on like Ethereum, where all of a sudden like that process becomes verifiable, becomes like truly random, truly secure. So like that's a cool application, I would say. Yeah, zero knowledge proofs, like this whole concept of zero knowledge proofs, MPC, fully homomorphic encryption, like these new cryptographic primitives that are coming are going to bring a lot more, like some really cool new applications. I think, like improve application ideas that we've already talked about, and bring new applications as well. All of those concepts you can learn about DevCon if you're curious about them.
I ran out. Well, you mentioned already, but you didn't name it. You know, SocialFi. You mentioned Farcaster. I feel like the country has that same infrastructure that made Axie so successful. You know, blockchain gaming, and can lend itself well again to SocialFi. You know, everybody's on their phones. You know, nowadays, everybody's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You know, I could totally imagine like a token based economy for like affiliate marketing. You know, we got TikTok live sales being so big nowadays, celebrities transitioning to that second career as influencers on what have you. So I feel like SocialFi, at least for the local scene, would be a good bet for something to look at.
Yeah, so yeah, to summarize, we have ZK, we have permissionless collaboration applied in gaming and social fi. So next question is for Skylar. And this question is about DevCon. What continues to fascinate you about the builders who attend DevCon? And how do you see the Philippines contributing to the ongoing evolution and maturation of the Ethereum ecosystem?
Okay, yeah. So the last DevCon that we had was in Colombia, and I think maybe what fascinated me the most was just to see how many people from Latin America came to attend this DevCon. Like we bring these events around the world so that they're more accessible to different regions, and we bring them to places where we really think that there's high potential. Latin America was this place 2 years ago, still has high potential. And like what surprised me was not only how many people came, but like what happened afterwards, right? Like after DevCon Latin America, like the spotlight was kind of shown on a lot of communities there. A lot of communities that were doing Road to DevCon events like this before DevCon then have continued to do bigger events now. Like have continued to like create more education. There's projects, there's like legitimate serious projects coming out of Latin America that are not just for Latin America, but like are that are for all of the world, like all of the world. And like that's what I would hope to see come out of this DevCon in Southeast Asia. That like the Philippines, the builders, the people here end up coming to DevCon, meeting the community, making the community, the global community aware of what's possible here in Southeast Asia, that there's interest, there's developers, there's use cases, and then the developers here, the builders here, creators are able to create projects, applications that are not just for the Philippines, but that end up being used worldwide, right? Like this is a worldwide ecosystem we're building. Like this is the worldwide computer. This is like something that you could build something here and then have it be used by anyone around the world. Like that's what I would like to see come out of DevCon Southeast Asia and the Philippines involvement.
Yeah. So yeah, it's about DevCon putting the spotlight to communities and bringing what's already in there and creating ripple effects and bring the best out of them. So yeah, the next question is for QZ. Um, what do you think makes the blockchain community in Southeast Asia unique in terms of its challenges, opportunities, and potential for growth? How can the region leverage its distinct advantages to play its distinctive role in the Ethereum ecosystem?
Thanks for the question. So, a few things that I've noticed. Uh, a lot of people are interested in coming to Asia and Southeast Asia in general, but they see us as one like category, right? It's totally wrong. And it's also a bit different. I think I've been telling Skylar a few times that when they did DEF CON in Bogota last year, like almost everyone spoke Spanish. Here it's different. Like even in one country, there's like 5 or 6 different languages. So my take and for my own practice as Ethereum Singapore, so what I try to do is that I believe that different communities should eventually graduate from doing events and eventually help to grow smaller, more specialized communities. And your role eventually becomes a bit more like a steward, or if I was to take the garden analogy, is to kind of be like a gardener, right? To help to grow and to maintain the ties in communities. I gave a very similar talk in Honduras earlier this year, and I said that, in communities, I put 100 points, but I think one key issue was like, how do you deal with conflict? How do you deal with cooperation? How do you ensure that when people want to come to your communities, right, they're the right people for the community? How do you ensure that the community can sustain themselves? I think that's one thing that actually Southeast Asia might have a unique lens into growing. Something that I think for us, communities are a little different in a sense that, like, for us, we come from more communal societies, right? And so community building isn't something that we learn from like an online course or that we see it as marketing. I think a lot of people see community building as purely marketing. Actually, that's almost antithetical to community building, right? I think for us, we have an opportunity to even show the world like how we can grow communities organically, right? Because we do have real needs. And actually, community building is a lot about matching needs with people that can provide them and just helping everybody play together. So that's really unique. To summarize, we could probably do really well as conveners, right? To help convene people when you want to come to a location, like for example, the Philippines, right? Like Manila is just like one part of the Philippines, right? There's so many other cities to go to. Singapore is a bit different. Singapore is just one tiny city. But even then, it's not easy to navigate Singapore. There's like so many different international communities that are here. And for us, we can help to convene the right people between governments, between Chinese companies, between American companies, European, Middle East, right? So that's one thing. The second one is more of the role of a curator, right? Pagoda does a bit of that. Uh, I did send a representative down, and I think the role of helping to grow communities is also to curate what the community sees or emphasizes on, and to ensure that the right values are passed down generation for generation. I think that's something that we tend to forget. One thing I hope eventually to see is that even communities might come up with your own constitutions, for example, to specifically write down like what does this community believe in. Uh, Ethereum itself still doesn't have a constitution, which is an interesting conversation to eventually have. We mostly kind of like share the values, but when our values are tested, that's when we really see it. Communities have these things challenged all the time. When you do an event, right? Like when I did an event last year, I had to figure out like sponsor situations. How's the event going to run? I can't turn it into a commercial event, but I do need to break even, right? If not, I'll run out of money. So communities are challenged every single day, our values, right? And I think it's through this crucible or this fire, every single time, every interaction, every little conflict you deal with, every big conflict you deal with, every community that shatters and comes back together, we learn something, right? And that's something that we can bring to the Ethereum community. In the earlier days, I think when a lot of DAOs were coming about, one thing I noticed is that there are a lot of Southeast Asians in DAOs, and we were doing a lot of the work, and we were very good at it because we were very peaceful. Something about a win-win philosophy, trying to work together. My proposal can exist with yours. It was very different from some of the other cultures that I've interacted with, where my proposal has to win, right? I think that's something that Asia might bring, and it's unique because this year Road to DevCon is a little different. Previously we were more focusing on highlighting countries, right? You will see like if Honduras, if Buenos Aires, if all these other things. This year, Road to DevCon were highlighting smaller, unique communities. You notice that like meetups, not only meetups, right, but like education providers, media, they're all coming together to try and bring to lend their voice to DevCon. That's something that's already showing to be very unique here. And I think we'll see more of it. Yeah.
So yeah, it's the incredible diversity in Southeast Asia and the communal nature of our cultures that makes us really unique and probably better as like curators and conveners of the Ethereum ecosystem. So the next question is for Nico, and it's about aspiring builders and why is it crucial for them to study and understand the innovations in the NFT space? And how can you share specific examples of how NFT technology can be used to enhance virtual environments, foster community engagement, and enable novel business models within the broader ecosystem?
Okay. Let's just take Nifty Island as an example. We've worked with them on UGC content generation. If you don't know, Nifty Island is this um, game platform, game creation platform that people can use for like events, virtual metaverse type thing. And one example, I guess, of the applications there would be interoperable NFTs. So they brought in a lot of like different communities and supported avatars um, really quickly. Like I know they've got like Bored Apes in their metaverse. And on the UGC side, they allowed us to build like modular stuff on top of what they had built. So just glossing over it, we built like this AI skins or textures generator that uses AI to quickly iterate like game items, game objects, even if you don't have any talents, if you're not really a modeler. And you would see those items now supported inside of Nifty Island. Some of you are familiar with Clark, a city here, and they usually have this like hot air balloon festival. And we had a similar one, like a Breeder DAO led event inside of Nifty Island, like a hot air balloon festival using like hot air balloons that users generated using the tool. And those same hot air balloons or the wearables generated or game items generated in this metaverse would be supported in other metaverses. So this concept of interoperability, of having like Skylar mentioned earlier about this like singular computer, singular server that we're all building on that is blockchain. Um, and that's the edge, I guess, when it comes to games on blockchain. You have a common language, a singular standard that you can look to support interoperable assets. So I think everybody knows about that already, but that's at least my experience.
It's NFTs are like fostering interoperability and making collaboration easier because there's a certain standard that everyone adheres to. So it's like building one Lego block upon another. So yeah, the next question will be for Skylar, and this about um, for the people who are starting their Ethereum journey. So for someone looking to start their Ethereum journey, what resources would you recommend for them, and what should they start learning about first?
Cool. Yeah. I think it depends on what your background is and what you're interested in. Like, let's say you are a developer looking to get more involved with Ethereum, learn more about Ethereum. Maybe okay. Wait. First, for anyone probably interested in learning Ethereum, I have to say DevCon. Like, try to come to DevCon, and it's how I got involved. It's how a lot of people get involved. You can volunteer as well if that helps with the costs, and it's also more fun. And yeah, so that's a great way to get involved to learn. More than that, if you're a developer, there's also hackathons. ETH Global does good hackathons. ETH Global, they do good hackathons sometimes online as well. There will be one also around DevCon happening, as well as a bunch of other side events. If you're a developer, Speed Run Ethereum. So this website that basically teaches you how to develop really basic smart contracts in a fun, like gamified way, and then allows you to, if you complete all of the challenges, you can enter this group, this community of people who are also like fellow developers learning to build on Ethereum. And if you're not a developer, I would say, like Ethereum.org is a great resource to just learn about basic concepts. Continue attending ETH63 meetups and events because these are just a great way to like learn about what's going on, meet other people who are in the ecosystem, and yeah, I'd probably say that's a lot of it. Yeah. What
Yeah.
else did I
So
forget? What else did I forget?
so yeah, just get yourself actively involved. Try to immerse yourself, and yeah, try hackathons if you want more active learning. So yeah, then the next question is for QZ, and the question is, for years of handling Ethereum Singapore, what were some of your takeaways or insights that you can share that helps growing a grassroots community like the Philippines?
So I think the bull and bear cycle is really good for communities because if you're a serious community, you will still be around during the bear. And if you're the only thing left, then that's how you become dominant. Like that's it. It's very simple. It's the staying power, and to remain in the game because just because it's a bear market doesn't mean that we're no longer interested in Ethereum. Those are the best people to get involved because they are in for the long term and they are actually doing something with it. Uh, and when you're in a situation like this, what do you look for? Right, a support group. So, and then the value of community comes out much, much stronger. Right. I think that's really the simplest way to kind of put it. And it's very practical. Right? Asians are very practical people, right? Like by just being here and being able to survive the cycles, each time the community gets stronger and stronger and stronger. That's kind of how Ethereum Singapore did it. We've been around since 2016, 2017. In the early days, it was really just a lot of discussion about what Ethereum could be used for. Most of it was honestly complete nonsense, but it was interesting, right? It was interesting to just hang out with people. And it's hard to say no to pizza and sometimes beer on like a Thursday night, right? Then during the bear market, what happens, right? Yes, you get less meetups, but then you get more technical meetups for some reason, more reading groups, more like dev boot camps start to come out. And that's because people still want to learn, but they can't find any angle to learn. And that's where the kind of like communal reading groups come about. Right now for us, my approach as Ethereum Singapore isn't really to run meetups, but to partner other people that want to get their word out or to work together with us or to essentially teach about Web3 or Ethereum. And we are seeing a lot of different types of communities come about, right? There are dev communities, there's staking communities, right? Like home stakers do need a community. They are incentivized in the shared need to keep their staker alive. It's very simple. There are communities that are more about art. So there are art communities in Singapore, and their common interest is in creating and being a part of the art communities globally, right? And so these are all different communities that kind of share the diversity, and being able to create a format that is flexible enough to work with all these different communities and ensuring that you stay updated with different opportunities that these communities can benefit from or they can work together with. I think that helps a lot. One good thing also is that as a curator or convener, right, it's much easier to play a neutral role, not as a gatekeeper role, something very unique here. I notice, not gonna name anybody, but sometimes community leads or communities, Ethereum communities, become a gatekeeper role where you go to them to reach out to the foundation or to devs or to whatever. That is a temporary situation. It's temporary from information asymmetry. Eventually, people get sick of you. Yeah. But if you play a role as a connector, right, then you will always create and grow a network, and everybody will have this. It's almost like karma, right? Like everyone's very happy to work with you, and then they will be willing to like sponsor venues, right, or to speak at your events, or to come for your event when the time comes. I think that's something that we will start to see more and more. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about the staying power and finding people who are genuinely interested even during bear market, and also collaborating with diverse people and being a connector. So the next question is for Nico. Um, so why do you think is it crucial for aspiring builders to study and understand innovation? Oh, sorry. Yeah. NFTs and the metaverse are both rapidly growing sectors within the Ethereum ecosystem. So how do these two areas intersect to create a new and exciting opportunities for developers and creators in the Philippines?
Okay, so I mentioned a little bit about it already. I think there's two kinds of builders, metaverse builders at least. You have your founding team. They build the protocol or the game that people um, come together to participate in. But I think the opportunity for a lot is in my opinion at least, coming modularity of blockchain. It was mentioned earlier, you have these frameworks that will allow for building on top of each other. Account abstraction is here, so that will be a lot more, I don't know if this is a word, interactability between smart contracts than ever before. So I feel like that's a whole nother market that's waiting to open up, you know. You don't need to build a new protocol from scratch, like and compete. You can have derivative value by building on top of what somebody else has built already. And we know this works because we've seen it in Web 2 like institutions like Roblox. Roblox is the father or figurehead for successful UGC economies, right? You have these like new developers learning not to code in Unity or Unreal. They're learning Roblox, how to build games on Roblox. And they're using that platform to have value from the parent protocol driven towards them. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of Filipino devs already on Roblox making a livelihood for themselves. And I really see the same thing happening with blockchain, with Ethereum. We've done it already in Breeder DAO. We've made like matching services for like niche NFT collections that have smart contracts act as like escrows with their NFTs. We've seen rental marketplaces pop up So yeah, lots of opportunities for metaverse builders, and you don't need like a full team to do it. You can just be a contributing member of an already present community.
So yeah, for developers, it's not only about reinventing the wheel, it's also about building on Lego parts that are already existing. So yeah, this question is for the three of you. And yeah, I'd like to ask, how do you approach the challenge of making blockchain development and education more accessible to newcomers, including those from non-technical backgrounds?
To make blockchain development more accessible. To make
Accessible to everyone, like
blockchain,
blockchain education.
blockchain in general. Okay. Um, yeah, I would say. I mean, I think a lot of what we're doing, a lot of what just been mentioned here, like just blockchains in general need to be more accessible to non-technical people. Like, I mean, I think what we're working on is very similar to the internet. Like there's a lot of similarities to the internet, the creation of the internet, right? Like, and the internet took a long time to create. The first email was like 19 cents in 1975, and then like took many years for the internet to actually reach adoption. You look at videos even in 1990s, like in 1995, there's this like famous video of a lot of people saying like the internet, not understanding what the internet was, not knowing what the at symbol was in an email, and wondering why it was important. And to be fair, like at that time, the internet was pretty technical. It was pretty complicated. Like you had to understand. It was pretty complex. You had to be pretty technical to use the internet effectively. And with time, the internet became less technical, became more user friendly. They made upgrades to it. It became just more user friendly. And then we saw a bunch of like, yeah, obviously it's had a huge impact on the world. I think Ethereum is very similar. Like, I think Ethereum is the next version of the internet. I think it's also in that same era as the internet was in 1995, where like a select few people, all of us in this room maybe, realize that this is something big. It's going to have a big impact on the future of the world. But most people out there think it's not anything special, and it's too complicated for them to use anyway. And so we have to make it much simpler to use. And I'd say we are trying to make it much simpler to use. Like 4337 account abstraction will make it easier for just the average person to use Ethereum. L2s will make it so that people don't have to worry about transaction fees. Oftentimes they'll be sponsored, paid for by other applications. So I think like, yeah, I think we have to make it easier for normal people to use, non-technical people, and I think it will happen.
I think that's actually quite a very common response, right? Like that Ethereum is early, right? But I think more importantly, but maybe another approach to think about is that we do have a PR problem. I think that's one, right? The internet at the start, because it was very limited functionality, it couldn't do much. And so people were using it to do very businessy things that were very legitimate, right? Like you mentioned email, right? For us, like we are known for Ponzi's and for Luna and 3AC and FTX, and they all came from Singapore. But anyway, so, so I was just reflecting on it. Like I was at a bar yesterday called Dr. Wine, and I don't know, just nearby, right? And like I was introducing myself. Oh, I work in crypto, and the person I was talking to was like, "Oh, the casino people." Oh, and I was like, "No, I don't run a casino." And then they lost interest. Just very weird. I thought they'd be more interested that I was not a crypto casino person. But anyway, for us, I think we interact with a lot of non-Web3 people. And one thing that has worked consistently, at least in my experience, is that when I first introduce myself as someone that works in Web3 or crypto or Ethereum, and they give you this look, right? I don't understand it. I don't think I will be able to understand it. And the first thing I do is, yeah, give it a shot. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Why don't you tell me a time where you wanted to do something, but you didn't have permission to do it? And everybody has gone through that, right? There's always a time where you wanted to build something, but your boss didn't let you, or your parents said that entrepreneurship is for people that didn't know what to do with a degree or something like that, right? I don't know. But it is that kind of empathy that gets people to realize that, hey, maybe I could live up to my potential or to build something that I actually care about. And that's for me, I think, the first step, right? Which is to remind people that, hey, you know, you too have agency, and a lot of it is not being respected now. Maybe this alternative career could be an opportunity for you to do it. And that's enough. They will learn about it themselves. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, they said a lot already. Boot camps are great. They said it. Actually, something I've been playing around with um, is artificial intelligence. GPT-4, Chat GPT. Lots of like AI focused learning startups are coming out. GitHub has Copilot, AI assisted. Um, one in particular I took a look at was boot.dev. It's this like back end uh, like coding tutor course web application that has like a GPT-4 fork embedded in it. And you can talk to it and ask it like, why do I need to do this best practice? Why can't I just do this? Why is my code not good? And that kind of like personal interaction, like one-on-one, it's not perfect. Like it's not comparable to a session with Skylar, but it's pretty good. It's bridging something that was not there before. That personalized training that will go a long way to understanding sparse documentation. I'm not attacking anybody. But yeah, it's unprecedented and it's really exciting. So AI, I think, can really help non-technical founders speed run. That was a theme earlier. Speed run to becoming not just Ethereum devs, but even like passion projects. People that never really thought they had the chops to be technical.
Yeah, it's about improving the user experience, the people's perception of what blockchain is by letting them try out and giving examples of use cases and using AI to understand things more. So we have one last question for all the three panels. And yeah, it's actually not on the script, but I'd like to ask, what are you anticipating when it comes to the Philippines now that DevCon is going to Southeast Asia?
Oh, thank you for letting me go first for once. DevCon. Yeah, lots more exciting startups. More activity on crypto Twitter about exciting things that people are building. I'm really excited to see like people exploring, programmers and non-programmers alike, the opportunities there in front of them for Ethereum, for the EVMs, as we keep talking about account abstraction comes into the fold, and more companies are exploring blockchain locally. You got companies like Gcash and Gcrypto partnering up with regulated institutions like PDAX and Coins. Sorry, I don't think they're the sponsors. But yeah, it's really exciting. Really exciting landscape locally. And it starts here. It starts with meetups like DevCon, meetups led by ETH63. Yeah, super exciting times, I think.
So maybe I can share a bit about what we're doing at Ethereum Singapore. Uh, this year, I decided to take my own advice on subtraction and not do a conference. Instead, we are going to try and do a history exhibition at the Art Science Museum to talk about Ethereum's history, because it's the 10th year of Ethereum, actually. If you don't know Ethereum, the ICO at the time was in 2014 August. Ethereum Singapore will be in 2024 September. So it's literally 10 years, right? So I'm very excited to bring together the community initially in Singapore and to use that chance to kind of share a bit more about DevCon. The truth is actually, when you talk about DevCon, they see it just as another conference. Like that's really the common perspective, right? Like you compare DevCon with like Token 2049. Oh, how is DevCon different from Token 2049? It's just another crypto conference. How is DevCon different from Consensus, right? How's it different from what else? I mean, there's all these different crypto conferences, right? I hope that we manage to shift that perception away. I've always described DEF CON as a family reunion, right? It's really very different. I get to meet friends that I haven't seen in years, that always happen to be in the city that just before they leave, right? I think that's the most interesting part about DEF CON, and to share that with everybody, right? To be in DEF CON, like for me 2 years ago, like to get in and out of the venue takes me 40 minutes. It's not possible. There's always somebody that you will meet. I hope you'll be able to feel that same experience, to come in and every step of the way, you make new friends and catch up with old friends, and to remind yourself why Ethereum is so unique to you, and that it's part of not just your career, but your life journey. And of course, the DEF CON photo booth. Yeah. There's going to be one, right? Okay.
Yeah, amazing. Amazing to hear someone else besides me say that DevCon is a different type of event, right? Like QZ does not work for the DevCon team, and he's saying that. So I also agree that DevCon is quite different than other events that exist in the crypto space. But what do I hope to achieve? What I hope to is like an outcome after DevCon, specifically here in the Philippines. I kind of mentioned it earlier, but just that to see projects be created out of here, based out of here, right? Like the next Uniswap should be someone who is maybe discovered Ethereum by going to DevCon, is from the Philippines, and builds like the next Uniswap 5 years down the line, whatever that may be. And it's based here in Philippines, but is used all over the world and has worldwide impact. That would be really cool. Maybe more projects, more awareness here in the country that ETH63 keeps continuing on, doing bigger, more events around the country, and then others, and starts to help others like QZ was talking about, do their own meetups around the country. That would be cool. So yeah, those are some things I hope to see after DEF CON.
So yes, that that's what DevCon is about. It's about us seeing 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 more use cases here in the Philippines, more adoption, seeing more people getting involved in the wider community, and finally more builders who are going to create innovative products here in the Philippines. So and that concludes our panel. Thank you so much for.
Thank you so much, everyone. Can I request you guys to have a picture first in front while I award you a token of appreciation from ETH63 Arbitrum Philippines? Go ahead, take a picture first. Do you have your phone? All right. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. All right. All right. Now, before we go back to our networking, I'm pretty sure you guys have a lot of questions for our panelists as well. Can we do a quick photo op with everyone? Yes. Can we request everyone to come here at the, what do you call this?
Where's the picture from? From here?
It's from here. Feel free to sit anywhere. Come on, guys. Let's have a photo together. Let's go. Down your phone na lang. Guys. See. Yeah, well, we have a photographer naman. So you can join. Photo. Where's Rex? Let's go. All right. Let's go, guys. Natatakot kang mapicturean ah. May pinagtataguan yung isang tao dito. Picturean nyo nga. Sabi nyo, Bulaga.
DevCon Philippines 2024. Let's go DevCon.
Ano tayo nang sasabihin?
Let's go DevCon.
Let's go DevCon daw. Guys, thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the evening. Apple pa, hindi naman ako informed. So we have